If high notes feel tight or impossible, it's not your voice, it's your approach. Today I'm going to be answering questions from Reddit, real questions about high notes, and showing you how to make high notes feel easy. Some of the questions I found were like, how do you hit a high note? How do I make my high notes clearer? How do I stop straining to hit high notes? All sorts of things and everything in between. And my overall answer is breath management, relax, and manage your mindset. Because anxiety equals tension. Myth busted. Push more air. Let's first bust a big myth about high notes. You do not need to push more air. Now, yes, the breath energy is how the vocal folds are able to vibrate, and the higher you go in pitch, the faster vibration your vocal folds need to do. However, what actually is happening is that your vocal folds are getting longer, thinner, more stretched to create those higher pitches. Very similar to a guitar string. When you pull a guitar string tighter and more taut, that's how you get a higher pitch on the string. That doesn't require more muscular force. What it requires is steady, consistent subglottal air, a steady stream of breath energy. So not more air, not a blast of air, but rather steady, managed air. When singers push more air, they often compensate with other muscles because they're not getting the steady breath energy they need. And so that compensation will turn into gripping your abs, a tighter throat, and other muscles that are constricting to make up for the fact that the breath energy isn't there. And that tension is the very thing that blocks resonance, ease of production, and stamina. You will actually fatigue your voice pushing all that air. High notes aren't about force. They're about coordinated breath management. And that way you can sing high and loud or high and soft or whatever you want with great vocal control. Because though it's called air pressure, it's about consistency, not power. And the power will come later. One of the exercises I do with my students to try to get them to understand the coordination of breath and what it feels like is the hissing exercise. With the hissing exercise, what I have them do is inhale for a certain number of counts, then suspend, and then exhale for a certain number of counts. Let's say 4 counts of an inhale, suspend, exhale for 6 counts. And so you're going to inhale through your nose because that makes it easier to control the inhale. And then I'll have them suspend. And the suspension is exactly that. It's not going in or out. It's just suspending. The reason I don't say hold your breath is because hold usually entails tension, holding your breath. And so we want it to be more like when you're jumping in the air and there's that moment before you come down that you're just suspended. So you're not going up anymore, you're not coming down, you're just in suspense. That's what it is between that inhale and that exhale. So I'll have them inhale for 4 counts, suspend, and it takes just as long as it takes for me to say the word suspend, and then they'll exhale on the hiss. So let's do that together. You're going to inhale for 4 counts, suspend, and then exhale for 6. Ready? Here we go. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, suspend, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One more time. We're going to inhale for 4, inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, suspend, exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 2 things I want you to consider when we're doing this is when you're inhaling, we don't want to inhale to the point of bringing all the air into our chest and shoulders. So if you're inhaling and you're seeing a lift happening, that is a problem. We want to make sure that we're already in a lifted position from just good posture. And then as we inhale, where your stomach stops is where your inhale stops. No more. Then as the exhale happens, we want to make sure we're not collapsing in that exhale. We want to keep the gesture of the inhale. So that exhale should still stay lifted and the stomach goes flatter, and that is it. Relax. What tensionless singing actually feels like. When we say relax, we don't mean collapse, like I was stating earlier. The energy for good singing comes from sound resonating and breath moving, not from jaw tension or throat tension or gripping your abs. So if you're feeling strain when you're going for high notes, you're probably feeling compensation that's happening. Now here's the tricky part. When you remove the tension from your voice, when you first hear it, it might feel different. It might feel like you've lost the volume, you've lost presence. It might feel weaker or quieter, but that just indicates that you probably have been singing with tension. So then when the tension goes away, your voice feels unfamiliar, and that unfamiliarity might actually feel wrong. But great vocal technique is often felt in the sense that it's not felt. Ease is there, and that ease is subtle. So here's what we do. We practice the exercises that remove the crutch of tension, and then we pay attention to what it feels like when we do that. Because the point of the exercises is not to get really good at doing the exercises or to replicate the sound of the exercise, but to be able to replicate the feeling that you feel when you release that tension, when you create sound without tension. That's the application of these exercises that we so often miss out on. I know so often you'll learn how to do these exercises and then wonder, now, how do I make that work for singing? You have to pay attention, pay close attention to what you're feeling when you're doing the exercise, and that is what you want to replicate when you actually sing. We chase the sensation of coordination, not the sound of the drill. And SOVT exercises are great for this because the active ingredient, so to speak, is balanced air pressure. SOVT stands for semi-occluded vocal tract exercise. What happens is that when you're doing SOVT exercises, your mouth is actually semi-closed. So when the breath energy that has built up goes out towards your mouth to sing or whatever sound you're supposed to make, because your mouth is only slightly open, then some of the breath that goes towards the outside doesn't quite make it, and it just hits the inside of your mouth. And when it hits the inside of your mouth, then it bounces back towards your larynx. That air pressure that goes back creates more air pressure on top of your larynx, along with the air pressure that is coming from below. That creates a balanced cushion of air around your larynx, which allows your vocal folds to vibrate more consistently and more easily. This is essentially a cheat code to what we want it to feel like when you're singing with good breath energy. So this is why we employ SOVT exercises often when we're trying to get through breaks in our voice. If you're feeling fatigue, overall, it's a great way to have really great connection to the breath coordination and breath management for very easy singing. One of my favorite SOVT exercises are lip trills. So here's an example of a lip trill. Many of you probably already do this. Many of you probably know about this, but now you understand why you're doing this. When we do these lip trill exercises, we want to pay attention to how free our throat feels, how free our voice feels to create these sounds. You may notice when you do lip trills, you can go quite high in these exercises, and it feels pretty safe. It feels almost like nothing. That's the point. We want singing to feel almost like nothing. So you absolutely want to pay attention when you're doing these lip trill exercises to how relaxed you feel, how relaxed your throat feels, how relaxed the voice feels to go up to these notes. Let's do a few together here. Follow along with me. You can just sing after me. Let's go up a little higher. And now, let's just see what happens when we try this. And see if after you do that, how do you feel? How does it feel around your throat? How does your voice feel? Do you feel warmer? Do you feel like it's almost easier to speak even? And do you recognize that there isn't a lot of tension happening here or any at all? That indicates that you're doing the correct exercise, but also that you are getting the benefit of this wonderful pressure that is created from the SOVT exercise. And another great SOVT exercise is the straw exercise. It's the same thing, except now we're using a straw dipped in water. And we want to be sure not to just stick the straw all the way to the bottom of the cup and try to make it very difficult, because if you're engaging tension when you're doing the straw exercise, that defeats the purpose. Make sure that it's a light resistance, because that resistance is the back pressure that then adds that wonderful topping on your vocal folds, along with the subglottal air pressure from your lungs. It's about that happening and not about pushing a ton of air. Again, that defeats the purpose of the tensionless exercise. Warm up. Hey, quick question. Did you warm up? There are notes that you think you can't hit that you actually haven't warmed into yet. So you'll assume, oh, I don't have these notes, because every time I try to go for them, it's really strained, it's really painful, or they just come out flat. So often those things are happening because you did not warm up into those notes. So before deciding notes are too high or too hard, check in and ask, did I prepare my voice to sing these notes? As I've said in so many of these videos, warm up regularly. It's not to try to stretch your range. It actually just allows you to do and function the way your voice actually already can. And if you need a warm-up exercise to start playing around with, that's really great for coming from a cold start or starting at the beginning of your day or early in the morning, I have a warm-up video right here that you can use. I'll link my gentle morning vocal warm-up video below. Mindset over matter. Here's something most singers don't realize. Your body believes you. So if you're approaching a high note and you're already thinking, I can't hit this, or I've never been able to hit this, or this is really hard, your body is not going to make a liar out of you. It will follow your cue. We see this all the time with performance anxiety, where your body thinks that you're in danger because of the fight or flight neurological response, when in fact it's just an audience in front of you. But it's still going to behave as though it is trying to protect you from a threat. So your heart rate goes up, your throat constricts, your tongue pulls back, all the things that it does to protect itself from danger. That shallow breath that your body's using to help you run now makes it so you can't even sustain a note for more than 2 beats. This is the same thing that happens with high notes. So if your body's preparing for impact or preparing for danger, it's going to brace itself as you are going towards this high note. So we stop assuming they're hard. We stop declaring we don't have them. If you're utilizing all the techniques we talked about here, breath management, coordination, tensionless singing, then this technique will make a liar out of that old belief. Because high notes aren't special, they're just other notes. Last thing, if you want your high notes to improve, you have to practice, and you have to practice a lot. And you can't just practice anywhere, because you need to practice in places where you feel safe making really ugly sounds. You have to feel safe cracking and finding new things in your voice that are less than pretty. Because when you're exploring your upper register, you cannot do that politely. You cannot do that lightly. If you're holding back so you don't wake your wife or annoy your neighbors or get judged by your roommate, that's going to cause your body to go into guard. And that guarded body is going to make it very difficult, if not impossible, to truly explore your voice, especially in the upper register. Find a space, even if it's your car, where you can experiment without feeling embarrassed, because that safety allows for freedom. And if you're practicing, but you still feel stuck, that's usually not a talent issue. That's a coordination issue. And that's where guidance can help. Whether it's structured lessons or the voice blueprint session, having a clear plan will keep you from just repeating the same struggle, only louder. High notes are not unlocked by force. They're unlocked by coordination and consistency and a nervous system that feels safe. So stop treating them like they're a threat. They're just other notes. And if you need guidance or a plan for how to attack this non-threat, I have links below. Thanks for hanging out with me. I am genuinely so excited about this series. I know that if there's one question about these things, there's probably thousands of people who have this same question and are also wondering. And hopefully you're finding that answer here. If any of this has helped you, let me know what clicked. Leave me a comment below. And if you've ever found yourself deep in a Reddit thread about high notes, welcome. You're in good company. Thank you all for coming. I hope to see you in the next episode, and happy singing. Bye. My first time with this microphone. Oh, is this light on? Oh, I had the light on this whole time. Oh, okay. Hopefully it does not burn out.
5 minutes later.
There it goes. All right. Wow. Yep. It was only a matter of time. Oh, sorry, guy. I should have charged you before I started messing with this. Yep. Pause.